सारे काउंट प्लॉट्स देख लिए जो इम्पोर्टेंट है. दैट वाज योर एम्बार्क में भी हम लोगों ने काफी सारे इन्फरेंसेस निकाले कि मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल साउथहैम्पटन से एम्बार्क हुए थे. Then about the siblings and spouse, so we got to know कि most of the people were alone and they didn't have any siblings or spouse with them, right? And also on which feature of this data the surviving rate और survive होने का जो chance है वो किस चीज के ऊपर डिपेंड करता था. Was it actually dependent on the passenger class? So yeah, we got to know that passenger class was playing a very major role in the chance of being survived or not, right? The same goes for the your gender. Gender of the passenger was also playing a very major role in it, and total number of people who actually died and who were actually survived unka particular column ka counting, right? So this was our count plots. Let's now plot a distribution plot. We know ages are a continuous data, it is not a categorical. One more thing, these everything which we saw earlier, gender, sibling, spouse, passenger car, class, embark, these columns are basically categories, right? These are categories, survive or not, 0 or 1, right? Passenger class 3, 2, 1, these are the categories. Gender, male, female, again these are the just categories. What about the siblings and spouse? 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 8, maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. These are the categories. So what we plot earlier were the categorical features. Now let's come to the continuous data, that is our age of the passenger, which is our continuous data. So what we will plot, we won't be plotting the count plot here, we will plot distribution plot, which is basically used for plotting a continuous data. So how we will plot it? So in the SNS library, sns dot dist plot, that is distribution plot, what we want to plot, train within our data, which column? Age column. And we know that age column has missing values within it. We saw here through the heat map, right? So हम लोगों को while distribution plot जब हम लोग plot करेंगे तब वहां पे for that time we need to drop those missing values, right? Just for that moment जब हमको सिर्फ distribution plot करना होगा तब उस समय हमको Na को प्लॉट ड्रॉप करना होगा, Na वैल्यूज को, मिसिंग वैल्यूज को. We are not dropping those permanently. Keep this in mind that we are not dropping them permanently. So sns.displot within the data age column में से हमको पहले drop करना है what, the Na values, then we need to plot it. And KD, I will come to that part while we will plot this graph. What is KD? For now it's a kernel density plot. We are not plotting any kernel densities. And color, dark color, maybe bins equals to 30. Bins means if you have, let's say, 500 data, so I want to group those 500 observation into 30 30 30 into 30 30 batches. So that bins is stand for this one. So you can alter these values 30 35 40 65, it's up to you. So let's plot this SNS dot, let's take some more input cells here. SNS dot displot data age dot drop Na, right? We are dropping this, and KD, we don't want KD plot for now. And the other thing is color equals to dark. And let's say it's dark. And now one more thing is missing, which is bins. Let's not plot bins right now. We'll see what happens, okay? Yeah, what it is. Okay, dark red. Oh, let's just alter this. Oh, dark red. Fine. Yeah. So you can see here, it's a more of a, we haven't, ये जो आपके plots है, it's some kind of a histogram, right? You have plotted that histogram. So it's more of a, यहाँ पे कुछ distinguish नहीं करे, सारे जो total distribution था, जो total observation थी, they have just plotted it over the histogram. But what if हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे bins introduce करा है, let's say 30-30 के batches पे हमको distribution को वो करना है, so you can see this thickness of these plots, this rectangles now become narrow. Let's do one more thing. Let's bins of 25 batches. So again the plot is more of a narrow, these rectangles are narrowed down, right? So this is what we got. Now about this grids, basically we haven't set the style, right? So let's set us the site style also. Let's set sns dot set underscore style styling. Yeah, what we can give as an argument here, let's see. We have this option for white grid, so we will go with this only. Plot it here and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so you will get a nice aesthetic over it. अब उसका background भी काफी कुछ अच्छा हो चुका है. So this is how you plot. अब ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत alter और करते हैं. Let's decide on the 30 bins. Okay, so this is your final plot. Now what is important to observe what this distribution plot is telling you. So you can see around 20 to 30, between in the range of 20 to 30 age, right? Most of the people, यहाँ पे आपको y axis पे actually count आएगा कि हर range से belong करने वाले लोग, how many people were actually there, right? So I can see in the range of 20 to 30 age range, most of the people were belong to this range, around 70 plus people, right? See, around 20, age of 20, there were 70, around 75, 72 people, around 30, around 60 or 65. So I can say in a range of 20 to 30, most of the people जो passengers थे, they were around, or they are in between the range of 20 to 30. So little people were actually like 0 to 10, means kids, right? बहुत कम बच्चे थे, किड्स थे, दैट इज 0 to 10 की एज में बिलोंग करने वाले लोगों का काउंट कम था. वहीं पे एज पीपल, जो काफी एल्डरली पीपल हैं, उनका भी काउंट जो था, इट वाज वेरी स्मॉल as compared to this category, this range 20 to 30. So now I got the inference that most of the people who embarked on the Titanic were like in their mid 20s or mid 30s. Most of them are actually in their mid 20s, I should say. So yeah, they are youngsters, so that's why they I can relate this graph now. They did not have any siblings or their corresponding spouses, right? So the most of the people, most of the passengers were in the range, within the range of 20 to 30s, or I would say in their mid 20s or early 30s. Yeah, so this is what the inference you got after plotting the age column. So let's move further. Now we plot this graph using the SNS library. In the pandas you also have this plotting modules. Pandas also have their own plotting modules. So if we want to plot, right, if we want to plot this the same graph but using the pandas module, so what you will do is data, within this data, what column, age column you want to plot, what kind of plot you want to plot, histogram dot hist, how many bins, 30, color is dark red, and alpha is basically transparency. Alpha tells you about the how transparent you want your graph. So let's do that and alter the value of that alpha. Within the data, I want to plot age What kind of plot? Histogram. And let's say bins equals to 30, and color equals to dark red. Yeah. Now the one more thing is missing, that is your alpha 0.5. So yeah, you can see here, this is the same plot you got earlier through the Seaborn library, or else you can also use the pandas plotting module. Now what about this alpha? Let's change the value of it. Let's make it 8.8. So you can see here now the transparency has gone. It's more of a you can see it more clearly. Background अब इतना आपको visible नहीं है when you alter, when you make alpha as 0.8. Let's talk about 0.2 when I set alpha as 0.2. So now the graph is very less visible, more transparent. आपको background ज़्यादा visible है, but the graph that you wanted to see is not that much visible. So we have to make a guess over it कि कौन सा alpha best रहेगा. So I would say the alpha that is 0.6 or 0.5 is the good one. Good result, will give you a good result and nice looking plot. So this is how you can alter the alpha values. Now let's come to the second part. Histogram of fair. Again, fair is also your what? Continuous data. So let's plot that using the same pandas module. We will plot the fair column. Fair is also a continuous data. We want to know how much of that फेयर वॉज पेड. आप किस रेंज में फेयर जो था वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा पे किया गया था. वॉज इट इन द लोअर रेंज, वॉज इन अ हायर रेंज. मतलब आपको एक फर्स्ट लेट्स प्लॉट इट, then we will make the inferences within the data. What column? Fair column, right? Want to plot a histogram, and let's say bins equals to what? 40. Color, let's say green. And figure size, how big you want your figure. Figure means this plot, how this canvas, how big you want. So fig size, ten comma 8 in height and width. Let's see. So height was very much large, so I'll just 7 comma 8 figure size. Yeah, it's still not so good. 5 comma 4. 5 comma 5. Let's decide on that only. Yeah, so you can see here 5 comma 5. This is 5 means your height and 5 means your width, right? So you can see here most of the, you can see this highest peak, like the graph has rushed in the lower range, right? Your graph is a little skewed toward the left. So I can make an inference that most of the people have paid the fare very less fare, right? Most of the people, because the graph, and most of the people, how many people? Let's make a guess on the count. You looking at this graph, around 350 to 4, in between 350 to 400 people out of 892 have paid very less fare. So again, because they were I can relate this graph to the passenger class. Most of the people who survive, who were not able to survive from the passenger class 3. So for the passenger class 3, the fare was very little, so yeah, I can relate those two graph, that because most of the people were belonging to passenger class 3, so obviously most of the people must have paid very little less amount, because passenger class 3 fare is very less, will be less, right? So yeah, looking at this graph I can see this nice peak over here in the lower range of the fare. So this is how you plot your continuous data. So we plotted our age column as well as our fare column. So let's move further. Now the part of data cleaning. Before feeding our data and splitting that data into test and train. One more thing, what is that KDE plot? Kernel density. So let's make it true and see what will happen. You will get a density plot. It means a probability distribution. You will get a probability distribution, that is your PDF probability density function. You can see, you will get on the y-axis, you will get the probability of the persons belonging to the age group of 20 to 30 is very high, because we can saw now on this KDE plot the peak is at within the range of 20 to 30. So yeah, the probability of people belonging to the age group of 20 to 30 is very high as compared to other age groups. So this is how AD plot also helps you to make the inferences. Now let's come to the part of that data cleaning. We saw that age, cabin and embark, these three columns has very so many missing values. Cabin column, we gonna straight away drop that, because 687 we don't have to manipulate those things, right? We can drop that much of missing value. So we will drop the whole column, not the rows. We will drop whole column, just like we did with the debt column earlier in our pandas series, right? So to handle the missing data, we want to fill in missing age data. What about this age column? It was around 10 to 20% of the data missing. So what we will do is we will impute it. Impute means on in the place of missing values, we will replace those missing values with something else, with something being any value. We will replace those missing NaNs with some values, and that value being maybe the mean of that age column or the median of that age column, right? So let's do that. We want to fill in the missing age data instead of just dropping the missing age data rows. One way to do this is by filling in the mean age of all passengers. तो जहां जहां आपको मिसिंग वैल्यूज दिख रहा है वहां वहां उस कॉलम के मीन से, क्योंकि हम बोलते हैं ना ऑन एन एवरेज पैसेंज, हम लोग एक जनरलाइजेशन जब लगाते हैं इन द पॉपुलेशन की, अगर आपने एक सर्वे लिया है ऑफ 1000 पीपल इन द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ 20,000, और लेट्स से आपने अगर 5,000 पॉपुलेशन है, उसमें से आपने 1000 पीपल का रैंडमली चूज करके उनका सर्वे लिया है. So survey से जो result आता है, we generalize that result over the 5,000 people. So that's what we will do. We will take the mean of that column and we will generalize it. Okay, fine. This must be on an average. इतना उसका value हो सकता है on an average. Like we can just fill in the missing values with the average of that column, that is through imputation. However, हमें ये एक चीज और पता चली थी थ्रू द ग्राफ्स, राइट? थ्रू द ग्राफ एक दो चीजें हमें पता चली थी, दैट passenger class also plays a vital role, and as well as most of the people within the range of 20 say 30, right? So we will divide the edge, or we can say we will group the edge column based on the passenger class. So group by, we will group by passenger class the age values and make the take the medians of it, right? So let's do that. What we will do, we will make a group based on the passenger class, and within those groups we will take पैसेंजर क्लास 3 का जो ग्रुप बना है उसमें ऑन एन एवरेज कितना है क्या, और मीडियन वैल्यू कितनी है एज की. ऑन द पैसेंजर क्लास 2 का जो हम लोगों ने ग्रुप क्रिएट करेंगे वहां पे कितना है मीडियन वैल्यू ऑफ दैट एज की, और पैसेंजर क्लास 1 में कितना है. सो द स्ट्रेट अवे रिजल्ट विल बी गिवन बाय दिस कोड, राइट? हम लोग डेटा में ग्रुपिंग करेंगे ऑन द बेस्ड ऑन पैसेंजर क्लास एंड विल टेक द मीडियन ऑफ इट. वी ऑल नो ग्रुप बाय जो होता है वोंट गिव यू एनी रिजल्ट अनटिल एंड अनलेस हमने उसके ऊपर कोई हम लोगों का एग्रीगेट फंक्शन यूज किया. सो लेट्स डू दैट. एग्रीगेट फंक्शन हम लोग यूज करेंगे उसके ऊपर. सो यू कैन सी हियर पैसेंजर क्लास 3 ग्रुप में एज वर मीडियन एज was 37. पैसेंजर क्लास 2 में द मीडियन एज was 29 and पैसेंजर क्लास 2 में मीडियन एज. So most of the people were very young on the passenger class 3. So it was 24. Now we will use again through the observations, through the plotting library, we will plot a box plot. Box plot basically आप जब आपको कैटेगरिकल वैल्यू को कैटेगरी वैल्यूज के अगेंस्ट आपको अगर कंटिन्यूस डेटा डालना रहता है, अगर आपको y एक्सिस के ऊपर कंटिन्यूस डेटा प्लॉट करना है एंड अगेंस्ट व्हाट, अगेंस्ट द कैटेगरी. सो पैसेंजर क्लास इज अवर कैटेगरी, राइट, और हमको y एक्सिस पे उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग एज प्लॉट करना है. सो वी विल बी यूजिंग बॉक्स प्लॉट्स. सो बॉक्स प्लॉट कैसे करोगे? नाउ दिस plt डॉट फिगर, दैट इज द फिगर साइज. फिगर साइज मतलब आपको कितना बड़ा कैनवास के ऊपर प्लॉटेड ग्राफ चाहिए. यू विल डिसाइड दैट यूजिंग द फिगर फंक्शन. एंड ये फिगर फंक्शन किसने लाके दिया है? वी सी अर्लियर हम लोगों ने मैटप्लॉटलिब को जो इंपोर्ट किया था, वी इंपोर्टेड इट एज अ plt. so using that matplotlib we decided on the figure size. so plt dot figure size being 12,7, we want to plot इतना बड़ा, इस बड़े से कैनवास के ऊपर हमको क्या प्लॉट करना है? बॉक्स प्लॉट. सो sns डॉट बॉक्स प्लॉट. एक्स एक्सिस पे क्या आएगा? पैसेंजर क्लास. वाई एक्सिस पे क्या आएगा? एज, राइट. एंड ये एज एंड पैसेंजर क्लास जो कॉलम्स है वो कहाँ से बिलोंग करते हैं? थ्रू द डेटा इक्वल्स टू ट्रेन. इन दिस केस, इन अवर केस, डेटा इक्वल्स टू डेटा. एंड पैलेट, हाउ यू वांट टू कलर इट? सो पैलेट, लेट्स से विंटर. सो वी विल गेट अ नाइस बॉक्स प्लॉट. सो आपको ये जो मिडिल में आपको यहाँ पे एक लाइन दिख रही है, दिस इज योर मीडियन. median belonging to this category 1, median age belonging to this category 2, that is passenger class 2, median age belonging to this passenger class 3. so either you can go for this one or through the plotting library you can find the medians. What about this value? This upper value, upper edge of this box is known as upper quartile range. Upper quartile range means below this upper quartile range being 49, maybe 49 around, more 75% of the data is below the age of 49 in the passenger class 1. What about this one? This upper age, so it may be around 40, let's say 37, 38. so 38, 75% of the age of the people were below, 75% of the people's age were below 38 in the passenger class 2. And what about this one? 30 again, let's say 32, 75% people's age were below 32 age, so belonging to the class 3. so this upper range is basically telling you about 75% people. 75% of the total observation belongs to the lower range of this 32 age in the class 3 category. What about this one? It is telling you about 25% of the observation belonging to the class 3 were around below the age of 20. इस तरह से आपको ये box plots दिखते हैं. And so less people were actually belonging to the upper range of age in the in the passenger class 3. so ये आपके outliers कहलाते हैं. मतलब इन कंपैरिजन टू दिस थिंग बहुत ये विस्कर्स होते हैं. ये आपके आउटलायर्स जो छोटे छोटे डॉट्स दिख रहे हैं कि बहुत ही कम लोग ऐसे थे जो एक्चुअली हायर रेंज से बिलोंग करते थे एज ग्रुप के, जो पैसेंजर क्लास 3 में प्रेजेंट है। बहुत कम लोग जो होंगे वो एल्डरली होंगे जो पैसेंजर क्लास 3 में होंगे। सेम थिंग गोज फॉर दिस पैसेंजर क्लास 2। बहुत कम लोग पैसेंजर क्लास 2 में थे जो एल्डरली पीपल थे, एंड यहाँ पे इस तरह से कोई आपको आउटलायर्स शो नहीं होते। नाउ वी विल यूज दिस नॉलेज ऑफ मीडियन एज to impute, to replace those NaN within the passenger class। हम एक ग्रुप क्रिएट करेंगे बेस्ड ऑन द पैसेंजर क्लास, और हर ग्रुप में अगर पैसेंजर क्लास 3 ग्रुप में अगर मिसिंग वैल्यू है इन द एज कॉलम, तो वहां पे उस पैसेंजर क्लास 3 में जो मीडियन एज था उनसे उन ग्रुप्स को रिप्लेस करेंगे। सो वी कैन सी रिच पैसेंजर इन द हायर क्लास टेंड टू बी ओल्डर, विच मेक सेंस। वी विल यूज दिस एवरेज एज वैल्यूज टू इम्प्यूट बेस्ड ऑन द पैसेंजर क्लास फॉर द एज। सो हम लोग क्या करेंगे, हम लोगों ने एक फंक्शन डिफाइन किया। we will define a function, let's say impute, which takes the columns, आपके कॉलम्स लेता है। we will see आपने functions हम लोग इस तरह से define करते हैं। so we will do what, we will make the function named as a impute age। what it will do, it takes two columns within it, right? the first column being the age column, the second column being the passenger column। if PD dot is null, if the age column के अंदर अगर null value present है, and that too if that values belong to the passenger class 1, then return 37। तो age column में जहां जहां जो पैसेंजर क्लास 1 से बिलोंग करते थे वहां अगर आपको मिसिंग वैल्यू मिलती है, देन व्हाट टू डू, यू हैव टू रिप्लेस दोस वैल्यूज विद 37, राइट, द मीडियन ऑफ दैट एज ग्रुप। एलिफ अगर वो पैसेंजर क्लास 2 से बिलोंग करते हैं, नल वैल्यूज जो आई हैं एज ग्रुप में, बट दे बिलोंग टू द पैसेंजर क्लास 2, then return 29 in place of that missing values, else return 24। and if नल वैल्यू नहीं है एज ग्रुप में, देन एल्स रिटर्न जो बेसिकली एज ग्रुप है वो, right? So this is how you define a function impute age। now you want to apply this function, so what you will do, what where you want to apply, we will take a subset of this column, right? so let's do that, let's make first this function over here। we will define impute age, let's take columns, the first column being the age column, and passenger class being the second column। now if pandas PD dot is null, what, अगर null values present in what age column, and if it belongs to passenger class equals 3, then what, you have to return 37। so let's check it here, yeah, return 37। L if the passenger class is equals sorry, here it is 1 is 2, then what you return, you will return 29 as the median, and else what's the other option, return 26, return 24, yeah, that was the median value, return 26, I hope, okay, 24, no, let's check it further, what was the median of this group, okay, 24, yeah, right, 24। else means if this is not true, null value नहीं है age column में, so what you will return, else तो जो भी age होगी वो return करके दे दोगे आप, else return age। okay, so now we will apply this हम लोगों को परमानेंटली चेंज करना है हमारे जो डेटा है उसके अंदर के जो दो कॉलम है. वी वांट टू परमानेंटली चेंज दिस एज कॉलम, राइट? सो लेट्स डू दैट. एज कॉलम को परमानेंटली चेंज करना है. हाउ? आवर डेटा, I want to take two columns, so we will make a list of those columns: age, comma, passenger class, data dot columns, so that we won't make any mistake. Passenger class, yeah, here it is. Control C. Let's replace it. We want to apply it. Apply what? Impute age. Impute, comma. How we want to apply? We want to apply on the class labels, right? So x is equals to 1. So let's see now. Let's make the heat map and see if we have handled the missing values in the age group or not. Okay, what we made the mistake is string. Okay, fine. Data. So let's do that one thing more. Okay, so this should become here is null. We want to check the null values. Now let's see. So now you can see here we have dealt with the missing values in the age column. And now what we do, what we will do, we will just drop this cabin column, the whole column. So data equals to data, or let's say data dot drop. Again, we should not make any mistake in typing error, so let's do that. And how you want to drop it? Through the axis 1, right? So you can see here data dot, we have dropped that cabin column from here permanently because we don't want that, right? So we have dropped that permanently. What about this embark column which has this missing values? Now we will drop any row which have at least one missing values. So what you will do is train dot drop na in place, and we want to permanently drop that in place equal to true. Data dot drop any row having a missing values, right? So we want to drop that, and we want to drop permanently, that is true. So let's check the heat map again. So let's copy this code. So now there are no more missing values in our data, and now congratulations, you have cleaned your data set, right? So now let's come to the one more thing, one very crucial point here, that we know that our machine learning takes all the numerical inputs. They don't know how to deal with that categorical values. Let's say embark, that is S, Q and C. Our embark column has this certain values, this object values, right? Our gender column has female, male, female. They don't know. Machine learning doesn't know this language. टेक्स्ट टाइप का जो आपकी कैटेगरी रहती है, उनको आपको कैटेगरीज को कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा टू द न्यूमेरिकल फीचर. सो वी हैव दिस जेंडर कॉलम, we have this embark column, we have to convert them to a numerical values. So how we will do it? We will make some dummy codings, right? Dummy, we want to convert them to a numerical but dummy variables. We want to convert them to a dummy variables. So converting a categorical features. So what features? This and again we will drop this unnecessary columns, like ticket, then your one more parts, because we already considered the passenger class, so we don't need this column, and the ticket we will drop these two. And before that we have to, this embark and gender columns are object type, that is it has a data type other than the numerical, so we want to encode them. So how you will do it? Pandas has a function get underscore dummies, which gives you a dummy encodings. So gender belonging to this particular column, we will encode, we will make a dummy variables for male and female. The same goes for this embark column. So what about this drop first equal to true? We'll see one by one. Let's say yeah, so should just for now leave it like this and let's see what happens. Now you can see here we have successfully converted this gender column into two columns, male and female. If this particular passenger is a male, then female column will have value 0 and male column will have value 1. If a passenger is a female, then that column will have a value of 1 and male column will have a value 0. But now if I say if I take only one column, right, male column, अगर सिर्फ मैंने male column लिया and male column में अगर 1 है, so it is very suggestive that it is a male. अगर male column में अगर 0 है, it means it must be another gender. ये भी आपको suggestive है. We don't need this female column, right? We don't need to define this female column. If we consider only male column, right? Male column itself explains a lot about the other gender. If the male column has a 0 in it, it means it is a that person belongs to other gender, not the male. So what it we will do is we will just drop that first column, that is your female. Drop underscore first equals to true. So now we have only one column which is telling everything about the gender column. So if that column has a value 1, then it is a male. If that column has a value 0, then it belongs to a different category, different gender. So same goes for this embark column. Data, within the data, embarked. Yeah, what we need to do, we want to get the dummies, right? So pd dot get underscore dummies, and again drop first equals to true. So let's see how our embark column looks like. See, we had three categories, right? Queen, Southampton, and one more category. Now we just drop that third category because these two category will itself tells you about the third category. If both these column has a 0 in it, it means it must be the third embarkment. थर्ड प्लेस से एम्बार्क हुआ होगा. If this Queen's column has 0 in it and Southampton column has 1 in it, it means that person belongs to the Southampton. And if this particular category Queens has a 1 in it and Southampton is 0 and other one obviously will be 0, so this passenger belongs to what? Queens. So this is how you encoded these categorical text type data into a dummy variables. Now what we will do, we will just drop these unnecessary columns, that is gender, first gender column, embark column which was earlier a text type, name column, and the ticket. And how you want to drop it? Through the columns, right? So x is equal to 1, and what you do, you want to permanently drop them, so in place equals to true. Let's do that. And data dot drop, so we'll make a list of it. Let's make a list of it. let's take the column names from here only, so you won't make any mistake. Comma, let's say embarked. We want to drop it. And what other thing? Yeah, name column. So let's control C it and control V it. Okay, we want to drop another value, that is your ticket. Ticket doesn't matter now because we have considered the passenger class. So and in place equals to true. Okay, so what other mistake we made here is not found in the axis. Okay, axis equals to 1 because we want to find it column labels in the column labels. So let's run it. Yeah, data dot. Now we don't have those columns that we drop permanently. Now what we want to do, we want to concatenate these two categories which we found. So what we will do, pd dot concat. Concat what? Our original data with these two other columns. And how we want to do it? Through the column wise. So axis equal to 1. So what we will do, let's take some more data equals to pd dot concat data comma gender comma your the second category is embarked. Okay, and how you want to do it is axis equals to 1. So let's see now the our head of this data. Now you can see here, this is the final data that which we will throw into the machine learning. So this is now you have cleaned, you have converted, encoded categoricals data. So what we did right now is the encoding of the categorical features. Okay, so this is how you encode categorical features using the pandas libraries, and now your data is free of missing values, data is